Beautiful people of the internet, and obviously some of you horrible ones as well. Welcome back to the Lifestyle Lab with me, ya man, Sam. I hope you enjoyed that little jingle there. Episode 19, where I am going to be chatting through all things all or nothing. And basically the question I want you to be asking yourself, or it's going to be in the title, it's going to be why you've clicked onto this episode in the first place. And the question I am asking is, are you all or nothing when it comes to your weight loss? Now, the reason I ask this is because usually the ideas that I get for podcasts come from what I'm seeing coming up for clients on a week-to-week basis. So in the height of summer, when we've got holidays maybe just around the corner, we've got people thinking about summer bodies, getting fit for their bikinis, working on getting those abs for poolside, whatever it is that you're thinking about coming into the summer. The all or nothing mindset, as we kind of get closer to the time of when you're going on holiday, always seems to ramp up a gear for a lot of people. So that's what we're gonna chat about today. And this is an episode that's going to be quite close to my heart as well, because the reason I get a lot out of my clients who struggle with an all or nothing mindset is because it's a subject that is quite close to my heart, because it's something that I have also found quite difficult to manage at times. So this is why I'm going to quite enjoy talking about this subject, because yes, it's something that I also struggle to manage, but I know that it's something that so many people struggle to manage when it comes to their weight loss specifically. Now, if we're to kind of zoom out here and look at this over the course of your life, it's probably not just been your weight loss that you felt this all or nothing roller coaster that you found yourself on. There's probably been a lot of other times in your life where, yeah, you've been quite all or nothing. And probably how I would best describe all or nothing is kind of the art of being the hardest worker in the room, particularly when it comes to something that you're excited about or something that you're passionate about, or the laziest worker in the room, or the most useless person in the room, with there being literally no in between. Now, for those of you who are watching this on video, will have seen that I threw up the words laziest and the most useless in quotations there, because when it comes to this mindset, particularly when we're on the more unhelpful side of that all or nothing mindset, these are a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts that start to come our way as a result of us not getting the result that we want. So I always find that the all or nothing mindset is more closely linked with people who struggle with ADHD, ADD, depressive and anxiety disorders, which, like I've said, for anyone who's listened to any of the previous episodes of the podcast, will know that this is something that is close to my heart and something that I have found difficult to manage over my very short 32 years on this planet. So hopefully by me kind of talking a little bit more about my all or nothing mindset and some of the things that I implement in my day-to-day life will hopefully kind of give you guys more of the opportunities to manage it that I've had the fortune of having as well. So in this episode, we're going to chat through how you can really start to nurture your all or nothing mindset to be a lot more helpful, instead of it being this intense roller coaster of emotions, which do tend to lead more towards some of those unhelpful thought processes that most people find common with an all or nothing mindset. So first things first, right? In an ideal world, knowing how we develop that all or nothing mindset would provide a lot of comfort in knowing the context as to how it's come about. And the reason for that is because we could say, oh, right, well, you know what? That explains it. And as soon as we kind of start to have explanations for things, it kind of starts to minimize the feelings or the intensity of the feelings surrounding the mindset. But of course, we don't live in an ideal world, do we? We don't live knowing all of the answers as to the origins of a lot of things in our life, and the all or nothing mindset is no different there. So really what that means is that because we don't have that context, or we don't have that origin story of our all or nothing mindset, or most of us don't. For those of you who have done a lot of the deep work, maybe you've been to therapy, maybe you've journaled, maybe you meditate a lot, etc., you might be a few steps closer to understanding why your all or nothing mindset is as intense as it is, in which case that's amazing for you. But for those of you who are maybe feeling a little bit resentful, a little bit run down as a result of your all or nothing mindset, who really feel like they can't kind of, maybe you're someone who struggles with their ADHD, maybe you're someone who struggles with depression and all these sorts of things, who are really kind of struggling to make headways when it comes to your all or nothing mindset, this is going to be for you. Because what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to start to ask ourselves some questions, and perhaps maybe even get a little bit uncomfortable with some of the answers that pop up as a result of asking ourselves those questions. So I suppose my first tip would be lean into those feelings and appreciate that trying to get comfortable with the discomfort of the feelings that come up as a result of the answers that you get from those questions is totally normal and totally part of the process. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through some questions that, when my all or nothing mindset is really kind of starting to take hold and really starting to take me into a place that's really kind of unhelpful for me, I lean into some questions. Okay, and question number one is, how is what I want to achieve actually helpful or meaningful to me? Now, this is quite a deep question, right? But I suppose what I'm trying to say, in other words, how do you know the goal you want to achieve is actually what you want instead of what you've been conditioned to want? And I see this a lot in people who want to lose weight, because we live in an age where social media is very, very dominant. We live in an age where materialistic things are of a high priority to a lot of people. We have what we call beauty standards, where even before the social media age, we were very sort of influenced by, conditioned by. So this question here allows for us to really kind of dig deep and really kind of get to know your why and understand the goal, and if it's actually really something that you have come to yourself without being conditioned by external factors. So, like I said, in other words, how do you know the goal you want to achieve is actually what you want instead of what you've been conditioned to want? And again, like I said, I see this a lot in weight loss, or for people who want to lose weight, who think that being quote unquote skinny, who think that being quote unquote lean is going to make them happy. But more often than not, what they have to sacrifice to be able to get to that physical state doesn't align with the type of life that they truly want to live. And that losing weight doesn't directly correlate with happiness. However, if you are someone who just wants to feel a little bit more confident, if you're someone who wants to just feel a little bit more in control of your mental health, of your thought processes, if you're someone who wants to be able to keep up with their children, if you're someone who wants to be a better example to their family, their friends, of what healthy habits actually are and what can provide for you, then you'll probably find that a lot of those things there aren't actually aligned with weight loss themselves. And those are sort of the things that start to come up as you start to ask yourself that question: is what you actually want actually what you want instead of what you've been conditioned to want? Okay, so that's question number one. Question number two, and this might be quite a morbid question for some, but might be quite for me, it actually kind of galvanizes me a little bit. So I'll ask it and you can kind of come to your own conclusion on this. But is what I want to achieve a matter of life and death? And like I said, it might be quite morbid for some, might be quite a light bulb moment for others. For me, it's very much a light bulb moment and really does kind of galvanize me more so because what it allows for me to do, and I've spoke about this on previous episodes in the podcast as well, is what it allows for me to do is contextualize and potentially minimize the intensity of the negative and unhelpful feelings that I sometimes feel as a result of my all or nothing mindset. Because what it allows for me to do is ask myself, well, whether I achieve this result or not, I'm not going to die. It's not gonna affect, the quality of time that I have with family and friends. It's not going to affect how I show up on a day-to-day basis. For example, like I said, I'm not going to die if I don't achieve this goal, or I'm not going to die if I don't do the thing that aligns with the life that I want to live. Now, obviously, of course, there is a trade-off to that, in that by not doing the thing that aligns with the result that you want doesn't push you any closer to actually achieving it. You have to sit and be okay with that as well, because there is a direct trade-off to not doing the thing. But what it does is, in that moment, it does help me minimize and contextualize the intensity of those negative and unhelpful thought processes and feelings that come about as a result of having no, I need to do this no matter what. I need to do this at all costs. And the stress and the pressure and the guilt and even the shame that comes about as a result of an all or nothing mindset. Well, the question is, if you don't do what it is that you need to do to achieve the result that you want to achieve, are you going to die? There's a good chance that you're sitting there and answering with, well, no. But understand that there is a direct trade-off to not doing the thing that aligns with the goal that you want to achieve, and that it doesn't push you any closer to achieving it. But then what that also does is that allows us to bring ourselves back to question number one: does the goal that we actually want to achieve, is it our own, or is it something that we've been conditioned to want instead? And between those two questions allows for you to start to relieve that pressure, relieve that guilt, relieve that shame, and probably, actually, if you're anything like me, energize you galvanize you, motivate you a little bit more to actually do the thing that aligns with the result that you want to achieve. Because I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to my all or nothing mindset, it's not often that not doing the things that aligns with the result that I want to achieve that demotivates me. It's the guilt and shame and worry that comes off the back of not doing the things that keeps me not doing the things. Does that make sense? For anyone who struggles with an all or nothing mindset will probably know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So how quickly we can minimize those feelings so that we can start to take action is really what's going to drive us closer to achieving the result that we want to achieve and stop you completely falling off the wagon in general, because that's not what we want. We're okay with moving at different speeds so long as we're moving forward, but stopping and completely falling off the wagon as a result of the intensity of the feelings that we feel as a result of our all or nothing mindset is what we're trying to avoid completely. So asking ourselves question number 1 and question number 2, with question number 3, right? Is what I'm doing now, as in, are the actions that I'm actioning right now that align with the result that I want to achieve something that I can sustain long term, right? In other words, if motivation wasn't a feeling, is this something I appreciate enough to keep doing? I-E on top of the I-E. I-E-I-E-E-T, who knows? If I wasn't doing this for weight loss, would it be something I'd do at all? So if I wasn't doing this for weight loss, would this be something that I would be doing at all? And I think that's maybe the most important question to ask yourself, because if you are on a weight loss journey and you're someone who hopes to be successful with their weight loss, which you don't set out to fail, do you? You don't set out not to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Then you have to understand that weight is finite. Eventually, you're going to get to a point in your weight loss journey where you have to accept that you've lost enough weight, which means that what you're doing to lose weight, you'll no longer be doing to lose weight. You'll be doing to maintain. And usually when you say the word maintain, it's quite boring for a lot of people, which means you need to be conscious about adding more value to the actions that you are actioning to achieve the weight loss result that you want, to achieve the result that you want. Okay, so if you are doing everything that you're doing now only to lose weight, there's a very, very strong chance that what you're doing now is not going to be something that you're doing long term past the point of when you've achieved the result that you want to achieve. And that right there will be the reason that you don't sustain the weight loss result that you want to achieve. It'll be the reason that your all or nothing mindset will continue to rev into gear, and the guilt and the shame will continue to be as intense as it is now, because eventually there'll come a point where you stop losing the weight that you want to lose, or you've got to the point that you want to get to with your weight loss, and motivation's ran out, and the things that you've been doing up until that point aren't exciting you the way that they were before, or you haven't had an appreciation for them outside of weight loss up until this point in order to keep them consistent. Okay, so those are the 3 questions that help me take my all or nothing mindset, and more specifically the intensity of the feelings that surround my all or nothing mindset, and allow for me to package it up and use in a way that's more helpful and more conducive to the life that I want to live? And what I'll do is I'll run through the 3 questions again, okay? So question number 1 was, how is what I want to achieve actually helpful or meaningful to me? In other words, how do you know the goal you want to achieve is actually what you want to achieve and not what you've been conditioned to think that you want to achieve? Question number 2, is what I want to achieve a matter of life and death? Life and death. People who are watching on video there will have seen my mouth do absolute cartwheels trying to ask that question. Question number 2, is what I want to achieve a matter of life and death? For the most part, people will be answering no. And as a result of answering no, it helps us minimize the feelings attached to our all or nothing mindset of wanting to achieve this result no matter what. Now, do not get me wrong. In the context of weight loss, if you're someone who does have a lot of weight to lose, then is the quality of your life going to improve as a result of losing that weight? Most definitely. Are you going to be a healthier person as a result of losing that excess weight? Most definitely. Are you going to increase your chances of living longer? Most definitely. Is it a matter of life and death, in that if you don't do what you need to do today, that tomorrow you're going to die? You're probably not, okay? But there is a little bit of context needed there as well. But for the most part, the answer is no. You're not going to die, which allows for me to minimize the intensity of the feelings that I feel as a result of my all or nothing mindset kicking into overdrive. And question number 3, is what I'm doing now something that I can sustain long term? I.e., if motivation wasn't a feeling, and if motivation and high energy wasn't something that was driving you, do you appreciate enough what it is that you're doing to keep doing it beyond the value of your weight loss goal? And again, like I said, that appreciation for what it is that you're doing is going to be something that helps you sustain those actions long term so that you can live a more healthier, fulfilled, and happier and more confident life. So hopefully these 3 questions give you something that you can start to use right now. I would love to know how you guys got on with asking yourself those questions. And if obviously anyone has any questions off the back of anything I've said, please do not hesitate to reach out. Please do not hesitate to message me, which you can do so via the description down below, where you can catch me on Instagram, Facebook. I've got YouTube as well. Please feel free to follow me on either. Reach out to me. Like I said, I would love to know how you've got on with these questions. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all soon.